Hi everyone. Hopefully your day's going well. I know mine certainly is. I wanted to try something new today. So I booted up the old Minecraft, opened up my OBS, then spent like an hour making a profile picture, and made a YouTube channel. It's funny because about 6 years ago, I did the exact same thing. It was a different version, I was a different person, of course, but, you know, there was a point to it. There was a little gleam in my eye, and I had a dream. I wanted to be a YouTuber. Now, it's been a little over 6 years now since I started that. And, well, I guess I did it. It's crazy, but I think looking back, I wonder at what point did I lose sight of why I decided to do it, if that even makes sense. So let me kind of talk on that. About 2 years ago, a friend of mine started a YouTube channel. His second, I guess technically third, but second channel we can say. He would play Team Fortress 2, specifically the Man vs. Machine campaign. So he didn't even play against people, which I think is ironic. But, to each their own. And he would talk about whatever was on his mind. It's fair enough. It's very clearly inspired by Weekly Slap, Jay Schlatt and all that, if you don't know. That's a guy who plays like Call of Duty, and he talks about index funds or whatever the hell. So this guy started in like February 1st, I think, of 2024. And he's been going strong for 2 years now. Which, first of all, kudos to that guy. It's very impressive because he only has so many hours in his day to dedicate to, creating content. His main channel's great though. Right now it's at I think he just passed 20k. Not gonna name him obviously, because whole point is to be anonymous in all this. But a year later, pretty much around this point, another friend of mine did the exact same thing, kind of. He was playing Half-Life 2, talking about his life, And so I'm starting to wonder if it's kind of like the 2-week Minecraft phase, where it's almost like a ritual, where every single person just needs to start one of these. It's like every white guy needs to start a podcast or something. It's just the equivalent of that. I personally decided to start this channel because I wanted to try this. I think it's very therapeutic to speak your mind, But at the same time, I'm also very curious how this is going to do. So like I said, I've been doing YouTube for 6 years. On and off. I think recently it's been picking up a little more. I edited with like a really bad open source editing software before about 2 years ago, I think. Has it been 2 years? Yeah, it was like December 2023, so it's around here. I picked up Premiere Pro. A friend recommended it to me. And ever since then, it's been great. I think that was like the real catalyst. I joined this community and they're all YouTubers, and it's really great because we would cheer each other on. We would, give feedback, and actually people would post stuff, and it was great. It was really the golden era. And then something happened. I don't exactly know what, but a few months passed, and then kind of it slowed down. But people were still doing stuff. And then about I don't know, let's say 7 months, it kind of halted to a stop. Most people had given up on the dream, and those who didn't barely uploaded, myself included. I mean, I used to post every week. Back when I didn't really know what I was doing, I would make really, really bad videos, but they were still videos, Now, well, I haven't uploaded a video since May. So, yeah. I mean, I'm working on something, but I think it's just weird because what happened? It's like the entire world kind of agreed that we all have to grind to a halt. I mean, even people I used to watch, like YouTubers, people who would post very, very frequently, everything's slowed down. And I can't quite explain why. And it's troubling to me because I want to make stuff, but at the same time, I have this kind of internal struggle with myself of why bother? I used to have a lot of problems with imposter syndrome. I'm sure a lot of people who make anything like art do. I used to draw a lot, and then I would like open Twitter, or I guess now it's Blue Sky, and I would just see someone I follow and the great masterpiece that they sketched, and they said, "Oh, this is a warm up," and it's like the Mona Lisa. It's like, holy, am I gonna make that? I am. And that makes me feel like, okay, well, I'm never gonna make it. I can't even like properly draw a circle. If I'm trying to study art, I usually end up like going off of a reference or tracing or like, can I just update this block? And that's kind of funny. I mean, I don't think really art is great for me. I try to draw. I've drawn stuff. I drew a guy for a thumbnail of mine, and it was the most just disgusting thing ever. But hey, that's the most viewed video on my channel, so it's got to be worth something. I never understood that. Why do the cave noises play if you're not in a cave? Like, you'd think it's a bug, but it's been around for years. And I wonder if it still does that in modern Minecraft. Anyway, what was I talking about? Oh, yeah. So I used to struggle with imposter syndrome, but oddly enough, when I came to YouTube, I never really felt that. Maybe it was because I just felt like a lot of the people that made videos that I hung out with, I mean, some of it was really, really stupid. But at other times it would be like, yeah, I guess just it's very different to compare stuff. And I think with time, you also kind of notice like, okay, making videos is not that difficult. I mean, you really don't even need that much equipment. And editing a video is not hard at all, but it is time consuming. And sometimes you get to a point where you start to wonder, well, is the time I give for this, is that time worth it? You can pour, let's say, 100 hours into making a video, but if that video earns you like 5 cents, well, you might be getting paid below minimum wage, just maybe. This is this iron. I'm gonna try to get that. So I think one of the most interesting conversations is modern YouTube. I know, right? Everyone loves to talk about, oh, that's so bad, I miss the old YouTube. And there's definitely a demand for older YouTube content. I mean, I feel like I'm kind of feeding the machine with this, but I'm different than everyone else, I swear, guys. The rules don't apply to me. But what I do mean is like modern YouTube sucks, okay? I'm gonna be completely real with you. In like 2016, all you had to do is play like Slenderman, collect the 8 pages, and like do a soy face, and you'd get 1 million views. You'd be an instant hit, even if you had no viewer base beforehand. It was a lot easier to grow. Now it's like it's been extracted down to a science, which I have this theory where the longer something that's good exists, the worse it gets because the bigger it gets. Like the more people that get their grubby hands on something, the more it gets studied, the more it gets dissolved into a finite science. And if it only becomes a finite science, well, there's no joy, there's no beauty in it anymore. I think the charm of old YouTube was the jankiness. I think the fact that not everything was up to par was the appeal. Great example is Game Theory, the Game Theorists. It's a YouTube channel owned by, well, I guess it used to be owned by one Matthew Patrick, MadPat, but he did kind of sell it like 2 years ago. So, but I really hate the editing style they use. So genuinely one of the biggest problems I have with it, apart from the fact that they will just say stuff that's just outright nonsense, and most of their videos are just like bullshit. But the editing is way too corporate for a good YouTube channel. What I mean by that is every single every single thing that shows up on the screen has to be eased in. It has to be keyframed. It looks like a fucking PowerPoint. Nobody wants to see that. Sometimes there's the simplicity of literally just flashing an image on the screen that works. You don't need some ridiculous over-the-top approach to have something be practical. And I think that gets lost on a lot of people. Let me get some iron. If I could go back about a year, I think I would tell myself not to make a few videos, but honestly, I don't regret most of them. I think every single failure on the journey is still a process. You know, you still take something from it. You still look back and say, oh, well, this taught me how to do this, or this taught me how I shouldn't be doing this, you know? But there are some parts of it that are genuinely massive waste of time. I'm a college student, so time management for me specifically is, well, it's pretty valuable. It's kind of up there. I mean, I'm not working a full-on 9 to 5, and my next semester, my last one, is going to be a little more chill, which I'm excited for. But there's definitely still aspects of it that are going to be difficult for me. You know, like, well, I have this video that I'm working on, right? But I've been working on it for a very, very long time. So then that begs the question, like, is it worth finishing? Should I even bother? And I think this one specifically, the answer is yes. About a year ago, I did the same thing. I really, really, really wanted to imitate the editing style of a YouTuber that honestly I don't even like, which is really funny. So what I did is I looked at how they did stuff, and then I tried to mimic it, and I did a pretty good. Well, that's not even how the game works. What the fuck, man? Okay. I did a pretty decent job mimicking it, but then I quickly realized, like, okay, this guy clearly spends forever making the videos. That's why they are the way they are. But I don't know. It's just... Sorry, I'm losing my train of thought. I'm really trying to lock in and get this portal to work. Alright, it's like that. Oh, I'm locked in. Alright, well. There goes my hopes and dreams. There we go. Oh, if I ever want to go to the Nether now, I know where to go. Oh, well, that just sucks. That's what I get. So I mimicked the editing style of this person, and looking back, yeah, it was really stupid. I spent pretty much the whole semester making this video, and then halfway through, well, halfway through, like pretty much at this point, I spent the whole semester writing, editing it, got a bunch of people to voice in it, and then all of a sudden, just the project file got absolutely fucked. And I was like, okay, well, I'm just gonna cut my losses and upload this, and it got like 500 views, and I gotta tell you, man, for my size, that's not good. I'm not some 100,000 subscriber channel, but definitely getting like even a few thousand is not great. And then I would take a month break, spend a month writing a script, come back, make a video in like 3 months, and I got like 70K. I think that the lesson there is sometimes smaller is better. That 70K video was like 13 minutes long, whereas all the crazy over the top thing is like 40. No one's gonna watch a 40-minute video anymore. I mean, there's definitely an audience for it. If you know anything like Pyrocynical, that guy, well, he loves a lot of things. I'll just say that. But one of the things he does love is making extremely long videos. But I don't like the way that he approaches making his content, because he talks about video games, right? But the way that he talks about them is, oh, I need to summarize every single thing about this game. Why? I'm autistic. Like, what? No, that's such a cop-out. That's not how it should work. Okay, I need to figure out where I want to have a base. I might just take a boat. Oh yeah, the boats are like old. I forgot about that. That's gonna be crazy. So I think that there's a groove in between. There's a point that should be reached where you make a video and it does kind of, you can say, comply with the Mr. Beast code of ethics, where, okay, it has to be interesting, it has to be entertaining, it has to be well paced and everything, right? But at the same time, I think that if you make it too cut, it loses a lot of its identity, if that makes any sense. So I guess what I mean by that is, like, you can technically make a video that is like 8 minutes long and talks about some topic. It doesn't have to be a game, but I mean, let's be real, that's mostly what I consume and post, so we'll just say that. And it might be good. It might be good. But at the same time, because you decided to make it 8 minutes, so it barely hits the mid-roll ad point, right? It might get a lot of views, but there also might be a large amount of stuff that you're just absolutely cutting out. And, well, that might not be the best thing in the world. But on the other hand, you have, like, our old boy Nile Pyrocynical, where, oh, I need to make an 8-hour video about some game that no one's ever heard of, where I literally talk about every single line of dialogue in the game, is stupid. Because at that point, why even interact with the game? You know, you've distilled it down to such a point where it's lost any meaning at all. And so I think that kind of, that's the lesson from those 2 videos that I made as well. 40-minute video talking about the entirety of a Metal Gear game, you know, not even that good one either. It's like, yeah, that's boring. It was so, and the worst part is it's a meta commentary. I fucking hate meta commentary so much. I have a crazy story for that, but I'll have to see that for another day. But I think it's just like, okay, I had some sort of crazy savant-like vision, but at some point it just kind of was lost on me. Whereas the much shorter, like 13-minute video is delicious. It's a great video because it is short. But not just because it's short, it's because it keeps to itself. It doesn't need to be longer, so it isn't longer, but it isn't forced to be shorter. Well, I like that mountain. I might go there. If that makes sense. I don't know, really. I mean, I feel like I'm kind of rambling here, to be entirely honest. Plus, let's be real. No one's going to be watching this. This is probably getting like 2 views. Everyone's going to click off after the first 7 seconds. What I will say is, if you've reached this point, thank you. You are one of the people who is keeping the genuinely human part of this website and platform alive. It's no doubt that YouTube has a huge problem with artificial intelligence. I mean, Google absolutely loves AI for some reason. I can't tell you why, but they just do. I went to VidCon this year, my first time, and it was such a bad experience because they were just shilling AI everywhere. And I mean, it was still good though because I was with some friends, but I don't know. I just feel like the identity of YouTube is slowly crumbling, but that doesn't mean we have to accept it, you know? There's still a huge part of the website, apart from the website itself, and that's the people. We make the platform. If we refuse to interact or consume with the parts that we don't like, kind of like boycotting, well, they'll probably take note. Maybe they won't because they need to appeal to their millions of investors, but we don't care. That's why I think that even if YouTube were to shut down tomorrow, I wouldn't really have to worry. Because sure enough, there's going to be some other platform that pops up like a day later, and you can just post there. It's not about posting on YouTube, it's about making content that's seen by people. A long time ago, I made a video about a YouTuber who was quitting. It was a really bad video. Everything that could have gone wrong pretty much did. I wrote a script, but I didn't really stick to it. And the day of the recording, I came to this little studio that was in my college. They stole the green screen, and the camera and everything was gone. The whole place was an absolute mess. But I realized I have to record it today. They're closing it for break. And if I want to edit it after, I need to record it today. So I literally propped up my really shitty old Samsung and recorded it with that. I didn't even have like a lavalier mic or anything. It was so bad. Video still got 60K. But that's not really what mattered. What mattered to me was the fact that there were people putting comments about like the memories they had of this YouTuber, their childhoods and nostalgia. And I was just kind of like, I shrugged at it, okay, and I moved on. And I think that was still a really good decision, because a lot of YouTubers fall into this trap where they get a video that does well, and then they're like, oh, well, I guess this is all I'm allowed to post now, huh? I think that's Spawn. I've gone like full circle. Huh. They feel the need to just like stick to something just because it does well, and I think that's really stupid. I think that YouTube should quite literally just be post whatever you want that you find interesting to a degree. And some things will do well, some things won't. But you don't gauge the metrics based on the number of people who see it. You gauge it based on the number of people you've left an impact on. You know, I'm really curious what would happen. Well, I've definitely been here. Yeah. I'm really curious what would happen if you make a reverse beastified video. In the sense that, like, okay, so you know how Mr. Beast is all like over the top edited and fast paced, and everything is like edited, you know, like modified to look a certain way, and it's supposed to mass appeal to audiences and stuff, and it's very, very dumb. Whereas the opposite would be like, okay, well, old YouTube, but that's like stupid. But in the sense of like making a video that genuinely makes an emotional connection, I think that would be very interesting. And I think the closest that I'd gotten before was that video about a YouTuber. I think that there were people who probably cried, which is kind of sad in a sense, because I just made a second iron axe. Sorry, I'm trying to prove to a friend that I'm actually like good at talking and playing games, but I don't know what I'm doing. So that's why I haven't made a video in a long time. I genuinely want to see what will happen if you make a piece of content that people can connect to on an emotional level, where they see the artist vulnerable and they themselves feel vulnerable. Because I think that this over-sensationalized just YouTube is exhausting, and I'm tired of it. I'm tired of new YouTube. I'm tired of the AI edited, hyper-saturated thumbnails. I'm tired of everyone screaming into the microphone, yelling at the camera. I'm tired of how every single video has to be some absurd concept just to grab your attention, or a challenge. Most of all, I'm tired of the lack of people. Like, yes, there's still people behind making the videos. There's still maybe production and editing. But I mean, like, the human aspect of content creation. There used to be a time when posting a YouTube video was just recording yourself. I mean, isn't that literally what the old motto of YouTube was? Like, post yourself or upload yourself or something like that. I don't know. I'm too young for that. I'm not. I think. When did Me at the Zoo come out? That was the first video on YouTube. But I wanted to say I'm younger than that, but I'm not. I was born in 2006. I think YouTube came out after. I'm not sure though. I'm not that well versed on the crazy YouTube lore. But I think that like there's a demand for old YouTube videos. I mean, let's see. This video will kind of prove if that is or isn't the case. It's a long ass video too. Minecraft cave noises, what a classic. So it's just like, what is wrong with us? If we want something so bad, why don't we seek it? Why do we settle for mediocrity when there probably is this great content that we want? It's just like kept behind this algorithm. I mean, there's probably people out there who do watch that old stuff, but it's different. There was a YouTuber a few years ago named Nico Yaps, or Nico the Yapper, or something like that. And I'm kind of taking inspiration from him, but at the same time, I don't want to say I am, because I really don't like what he represents now. But at the time, he would play on an old version of Minecraft and talk about himself. Cool, man. I mean, good for you. And it did well. Congrats. He was moving on up the ranks. But at some point down the line, he took that success and started kind of turning it into over-sensationalized content again. He made fancy thumbnails. He over-edited his stuff and made challenge videos in Minecraft. Wow. As if that hadn't been done a million times before, right? Is it Y11? I think it's Y11, right? I don't think that's something. He would make these like terrible videos, and I'm gonna be completely honest with you, I've never made it through. Like, I've never finished one of his newer ones. I used to watch his old stuff because a friend pointed it out and like introduced me to him. And I'm like, oh wow, this is kind of neat. Someone's trying to bring back the old YouTube. It's back. But I think what was really interesting is that he triggered this micro trend on the YouTube platform, where then there were a lot of people who were Nico clones. They were trying to replicate what he is doing, was doing, I should say, where he's playing Minecraft. He's talking about something. And the thumbnails were the same, profile pictures were the same version of Minecraft, everything. But there was a problem, because they weren't doing it because they liked to do it. They were doing it because they saw that it did well. They were chasing the success, and by doing so, the original intention was completely lost. It's death of the artist. That's exactly what it is. It's death of the artist. Oh man, I don't even have an iron pickaxe now, and I just have redstone dust. Well, that sucks. Death of the artist is the concept that when a piece of art is made and then published, because the community, the audience, is the one to interpret the piece of the artist dies. What I mean is, like, we can never truly dissect the intention of an artist solely off of their art. We don't know why this person made it. We don't know a lot of things. We can maybe know some history, like what point of their life they were in when they made this, or what was happening in the world. And there's always those fine art people who are always like, well, actually, this is this was made during the First World War, and it's a commentary on socialism and Marxist ideals or whatever. It's like, no, there's people look for some great meaning behind stuff where it doesn't really have to be. It's like history. I went to an art museum with my mom like a week ago, and there was some historic stuff. There was some modern art, which actually the modern art was kind of cool, but some of the historic stuff. And I was looking at it, and I'm like, reading the description next to the piece of art. I'm not some art savant or anything, but I don't know. It was a nice change of pace. And I was reading the little description, and it was like, oh, this is some, deep meaning of the slaves and stuff in Egypt or whatever. And I'm like, okay, fine, maybe. But like, what if it's just a guy who was really bored fucking around and like made this? It's like, I wonder if in like 1,000 years, if we're still around, humans are gonna be inspecting like the deep meanings of Labubus in 6-7, and like the deep subtext that they had of the point in their lives where these people were. 6-7 is actually interpreted as a primal call for help. It's like, no, it's really not. I don't think there's anything there to dissect. I'm rambling again. It's been half an hour. Oh my god. Next video is going to be shorter. I'm going to be trying to post one of these every single week. I'm trying to be consistent. I want to play on the same Minecraft world. I'll try to build a house probably tomorrow. Well, not tomorrow, but next time. You know what I mean. We'll see. Hello to the 2 people watching this. Stick around, man. See ya.